pillars of unrelenting willpower. If there is an obstacle before them, it's nothing that can't be fixed through a heavy dose of pure firepower. Determined, perhaps to a fault, to ensure they do not let down their emperor, they live by a single, simple rule: victory or death. The Cabal are by far and away the most elite military force amongst our enemies. While they do not have the technological prowess of the Vex or the magic of the Hive, they are the most well-trained and effective army we have yet faced. They are also the enemy which we know the least about and have the least experience fighting against. To date, our combat against them has amounted to us fighting against scouting parties or generally limited divisions of their forces. In Destiny 1, we came nowhere near fighting against their full might, and as such, we have underestimated their true military strength, which Dominus Ghaul will take full advantage of in Destiny 2. Before we talk about Ghaul though, let's go over our rather limited list of major encounters with the Cabal to date. First encountered on Mars, the vast majority of the Cabal we fight are from a division known as the Sand Eaters, the main bulk of the Cabal's forces on Mars. Other major divisions include the Dust Giants, Blind Legion, and the Siege Dancers. After the Guardians reconnect the war-mind Rasputin with the defense network on Mars, Rasputin takes control of the orbital defense system above the planet and bombards both the Vex and Cabal positions there. During the subsequent fighting, the Guardians also eliminate Primus Sha'ul, head of the Blind Legion, who was one of the foremost experts on Vex technology amongst the Cabal. With losses mounting, Valus Ta'arak retaliates, sending the Scion Flayers, a group of elite, extremely powerful Scions, to break into the Dust Palace, hack into the defense network, and either expel or possibly even capture Rasputin. This failed after Guardian intervention, and afterwards our gaze turned to Ta'arak himself. Valus Ta'arak, commander of the Siege Dancers, was a legend to the Cabal, having secured more land on Mars than any other commander during the Cabal's centuries-long war against the Vex. Despite fierce resistance, Ta'arak would meet his end at the hands of a fire team sent by Commander Zavala. Our only other major encounter with the Cabal between the defeat of Ta'arak and the start of the Taken War was within the Prison of Elders in the Reef. There, the Guardians encountered and eliminated Val Aru'un and Valus Tra'ug. Valus Tra'ug in particular is of note, as he led a full mutiny against his commanders, as he saw their act of not attacking the reef as a sign of weakness. Tra'ug then tried and utterly failed to attack the reef, and he and the remainder of his legion were thrown into the prison, disavowed by the rest of the Cabal command. It's the only time we've seen firsthand a high-ranking Cabal not only go against their orders, but fully rebel against their superior officers. It's worth noting at this point, while this is the first confirmed case of a Cabal rebellion, there is a notable amount of dissent amongst the Cabal forces on Mars. The Grimoire cards Ghost Fragment Cabal 1 and 2 are from the point of view of a ghost who has failed to find a guardian to revive on Mars. Knowing that it is doomed, it instead takes time to scout out the Cabal and relay what information it can back to the Vanguard. Fragment 1 reads, "There is a vast empire behind these creatures, many star systems away. Some pledge allegiance to that far empire, obeying their ancient marching orders. Some do not. They disagree among themselves about the answers. I wish arguing Cabal on no one. They slam their plated bodies into each other with horrendous roars. Intelligence gathering has never been so painful." With Oryx's arrival, things go from bad to worse for the Cabal. At the time of his arrival, the Skyburner Legion was preparing a fleet to invade the city from Fleet Base Chorus on Phobos. Oryx's subsequent attack on the base leaves it utterly destroyed and inflicts massive casualties, with the Sand Eaters, Dust Giants, and Blind Legion collectively losing 44% of their forces across both Phobos and Mars. The Skyburners are forced to change their objective, choosing to send their forces against the Dreadnought. Primus Ta'on spearheads the assault personally and is ordered to crash his warship, the Dandelion Exodus 6, into the Dreadnought as to create a point of entry for the rest of the Cabal forces. In the ensuing battles, Ta'on is taken by Oryx and later killed once and for all by the Guardians. In retaliation, the Bond brothers of Ta'on, Valus Tuluurn and Valus Mau'oal, attempt to destroy the Dreadnought once and for all by destroying the ship's core, which subsequently would have destroyed half of the solar system. Guardian intervention ensures this does not happen, and also leads to the deaths of the only two remaining commanding officers the Cabal have in our system. With no commanders left, with all of them either falling to the Guardians or having been taken by Oryx, a losing battle is all that awaits the remaining Cabal forces. They are cornered and forced to do the one thing no Cabal soldier would ever honorably consider: call for help. The remaining forces aboard the Dandelion Exodus 6 send out a desperate distress signal from the command bridge of the ship, with the target of the signal being none other than the Emperor of the Cabal, Dominus Ghaul. This brings us to the start of Destiny 2, with Dominus Ghaul leading a full invasion fleet which destroys the tower, captures the Traveler, and strips all Guardians of their light. While we will have answers shortly regarding exactly why, the power and strategic perfection behind this attack not only speaks volumes towards Ghaul's military prowess, but also towards a need for this battle to have been an overwhelming victory for the Cabal. Why is Ghaul so desperate to claim the light for himself? We do not have a complete answer yet, but there are a few points that can be made as to why. First is the Consul, Dominus Ghaul's mentor and friend, who has taught Ghaul that the light should belong only to the powerful, that the Guardians are an unworthy recipient of the Traveler's mercy. Second is quite simply the strategic importance of stripping the Guardians of the light. Ghost Fragment Cabal 4 is a field report to Primus Ta'on going over many skirmishes that the Cabal had against Guardians on Mars. It states, Guardian activity in the Freehold AO has exploded across recent campaign sessions. Tactical attrition exceeds both frictional projections and our ability to regenerate losses. New tactics are necessary. The primary threat is the Guardian's individual counter-attrition capability. Guardians can be rebuilt even after total disintegrative trauma. This capability is provided by a small autonomous drone unit called a Dead Person, translation unclear. The Dead Person conceals itself during combat. It is not a viable target for direct fire. Saturation attack by artillery, heavy air, orbital fire may have a good effect, although Guardians transmat frequently and refuse to assemble into large formations. Ghaul is simply using the information gathered by his army to its fullest, bringing a massive military force against the Guardians as to buy time during the battle at the tower to ensure that the capture of the Traveler is completed before the Guardians can counterattack. This overwhelming firepower he brings to bear is a logical strategic response to the continuous setbacks the Cabal suffered on Mars at the hands of the Guardians. Ghaul also has to keep a watchful eye out regarding enemies from within his own ranks. While the Cabal are known for their strict military regimen, Ghaul himself is an usurper, having overthrown the previous emperor of the Cabal, Dominus Callus, thousands of years before the events of Destiny. This means not only do the Cabal have incredibly long lifespans, but that Ghaul must keep an eye out for any other members of the Cabal who may attempt a similar coup. Last, and arguably most important, is that the Cabal appear to have another foe, one the likes of which we have not yet seen. Ghost Fragment Cabal 2, which again is a message from a ghost scouting on Mars, states, a hologram of a spinning golden planet in stasis turning gently. You can see the storms moving over its face. But when the commanders congregate below it, when they activate whatever controls are below, it changes. Fissures appear on its face. Is that their home? When the room empties, I play with the controls, but it's older, native technology that I don't recognize at all. I don't know what it means. It's not difficult to hide in these caverns when you're as small as I am, although the scions tend to look around them when they pass me. There are infinitely many cracks and crannies. They are not a race that fears infiltration or espionage. There is meaning to the structure and layout of their buildings. This is a warrior people, and they lay out their fortifications along ancient principles and time-tested strategies. I can't figure out the sense that lies behind it. I would need 10 times the computing power for calculations, but I know it's there. I can intuit it. It's like an open hand ready to squeeze into a fist, a threat, a gesture of power. For all their might and strength, for all that they have dug into Mars and flung up battle walls with the bureaucratic grimness of conquerors, I suspect they are fleeing from something. That within their hard shells and thousand-fold shields is a sharp seed of terror. But of what? Does something follow them? Should we fear it too? The Cabal are not just spreading to the stars for the sake of conquest. They are running from something, a thing so powerful and so daunting that even the military might the Cabal can bring to bear is not enough. Is this why Ghaul seeks the light? To fight against this unknown foe, to save his homeworld which appears to have been broken under the weight of a relentless assault? For now, we can only speculate, but we will have our answers soon. Dominus Ghaul's full assault awaits us just around the bend, and the reality of the situation is this: the Guardians are not prepared. Thank you for watching. This has been Scan with GLHF TV.